glad to be here with you. Thanks for tuning into this panel. I hope you enjoyed the video. That got us excited. Nice to see you. I'm Sophie, and we're here with Mia, who's a partner at Lowercarbon Capital. You guys might have heard of it before. It's an early stage venture firm, which is backing companies across the climate tech space. And in particular, Lowercarbon has a $350 million fund, which has been dedicated to carbon removal technologies. And alongside Mia and the team, that's headed up by her partner, Ryan Orbuck. Briefly on me, I also invest in early stage climate tech businesses, and I work with an amazing team helping write a newsletter called Climate Tech VC, or CTVC, and we track this carbon space in great detail.
Sophie, to kick things off, I'm going to turn the microphone back to you. There are so many different types of carbon removal, including some technologies that might be a little niche or some that the audience may not have heard of before. And I know that Climate Tech VC has an incredible pulse on the landscape of solutions that are out there today, and including the ones that are pretty early in development. Can you walk us through some of the headline stats on what you're seeing emerging in the carbon removal space?
No doubt. Happy to jump right into it. And I'll say this carbon space that we talk about encompasses not just the carbon dioxide removal technologies, but also marketplace companies, utilization players, verifiers, point source, et cetera, et cetera. And you're right, we do track this activity at Climate Tech VC. And just to toss out some numbers, in the first half of 2022, we tracked $1.5 billion of venture capital money flowing into this carbon space. And I can guarantee it's been a lot more since then, and those numbers are going to be coming out soon. So safe to say that 2022 might just be the year of the carbon vertical. To put that in perspective versus last year, carbon deal activity, so companies that have raised have doubled in count, and that funding number has 8x'd, right? And so there's lots of large deals included in there. We might have heard about some of those in the video before, but Climeworks, Carbon Clean, 12, Verdox, Flow Carbon, Svante, et cetera, et cetera. These are quickly becoming household names and large companies. And beyond just the CDR companies, I'll also give a shout out to the marketplace and procurement software startups, which they actually the greatest count in terms of deals. Over a third of them are in that subcategory, but yet they're much more capital efficient, and inclusively they take up about 15% of that total funding, and about 2/3 goes to those carbon dioxide removal technologies. So important to know this is a wide-ranging and diverse space. But taking it back to you, Mia, so many different types of carbon removal, tons of different solutions. How do we accelerate innovation in this subsector across all of these acronyms from first of a kind, CDR, VC, AMC? Can you help define some of those and point us in the direction of which are potentially the most influential and accelerating innovation here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very much an alphabet soup, lots of different acronyms. So CDR, obviously, carbon dioxide removal. FOAK is first of a kind, and I'll touch on that in just a second. VC, obviously, venture capital. And then AMC, advanced market commitment. I'll start there because AMC, so this is borrowed from vaccines. And basically what an AMC is a binding commitment of a certain amount of funding for an industry, right? This is basically an if you build it, they will come, where you can guarantee and send a really strong demand signal to researchers, entrepreneurs, and those building in the carbon removal space, that if we can get these technologies, high durability, carbon removal down to a certain point on the cost curve, the demand is there. And so Frontier is the AMC for climate. It's a $925 million commitment to permanent carbon removal between 2022 and 2030. That is funded by Stripe, Alphabet, Spotify, Meta, McKinsey, and tens of thousands of other corporates through Stripe's platform. Basically, this is sending the signal for all that carbon removal, if we can get these technologies down the cost curve, there is appetite. And so AMC is great. Demand signal, check. one area where I'd like to see some development is in, innovative financing, creative finance solutions for first of a kind projects in the carbon removal space, including maybe an organization or company that's looking at doing project development for many types of carbon removal, maybe helping to do some risk mitigation or risk pooling. I think it could be an interesting area for entrepreneurs to navigate.
Insightful. I like that. What else is missing? What else is on your wish list, I suppose, if we were to come back a year from now and have this conversation then?
Yeah, it's funny you use the term wish list. Ryan Orbach on our team over the summer actually published a carbon removal wish list for startups that we want to see in the carbon removal space, which included things like companies working on zero emissions mass production of carbon and magnesium oxides that can be mineralized into carbonate and pull CO2 down that way, or storage for lower concentration CO2 streams. But I would highlight two other areas that I think really need folks to be thinking really carefully about them as enablers for a really successful CDR industry. One of those is MRV, or measurement, reporting, and verification. So if you think about the early buyers of carbon dioxide removal, like Stripe, they have often tried to do this themselves, right? They've brought in-house scientists and experts on carbon removal to verify the feasibility of these technologies. Unfortunately, that's just not scalable. And I think we've also seen some shortcomings with existing providers in the avoidance-based offset space, such as Vera, where you're seeing flaws in the credits that they're covering, and they're also not able to move as quickly as we need for the range of different CDR technologies that exist. And so I think focusing on, people working on the tech stack that'll be used for measurement, people working on the standards and protocol that'll be used for verification, and then new organizations with proper incentives to execute on measurement and verification is a key gap in an area where we'd like to see more. Another thing that I would call attention to is how we think about CDR in the context of a just transition, right? I think this is actually an area where there are a lot of applicable skill sets that can be translated over from the oil and gas space, right? When you think about injection of CO2 streams or of, pyrolyzed biomass underground, that there are a lot of similarities there in terms of the types of skills needed. And so whether it's engineers building these technologies or operators working on executing either on verification or on the removal itself, there are a lot of opportunities to translate that. And I think we can't overemphasize how important it is to think about that.
There's a ton to do, and there's a ton to do for us individually, right? Talking about it, pontificating here, but also for folks in the audience tuning in, and probably more than we can list out in the time that we've got left. So we'll drop some resources in the chat here about ways to get involved from the procurement and purchasing side, from corporates, from individuals who are looking to get involved directly and kind of play venture with your career and go start or join a CDR company directly. And then individuals that want to make direct purchases. And for those who are still on their learning journeys, would love to help you follow along and track that deal activity here through Climate Tech VC as well. So feel free to subscribe there. But that's it for us now. Hope you learned something. Hope you got inspired. And Mia, as always, love chatting with you. So thank you for joining us.